let's not waste any more time. Let's say hello to the man who will be headlining the UFC's return to Stockholm, Sweden this weekend against Alexander Gustafsson. He is the man they call Lionheart. He is the one and only Anthony Smith, who joins us right now via the magic of FaceTime from Stockholm. Anthony, how are you?
I'm good, Ariel. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it very much. I have been looking forward to talking to you for quite some time because of how our conversation went last time, and I actually feel like maybe you were a little bit, I don't know. I feel like you were a little bit upset at me afterwards because maybe you felt like I made too big of a deal of your comments, how you were feeling. I just want to say that I really appreciated your comments, and I found them to be a breath of fresh air, and I give you a lot of respect for saying how you felt, much like the Rory McDonald situation of a couple weeks ago. So I felt like I needed to throw out that disclaimer right off the top. I hope you didn't feel like I was making a mountain out of a molehill, if you know what I mean.
No, no, I didn't feel. I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset at all. I think that when you go in depth about the things that I talked about, and then you went on to talk about it, I think you were doing it from a place of caring. I think that it was the other bullshit that like the other some of the other media people latch onto it, and then it turns into this. Well, he's not ready. He shouldn't be fighting. Like that's not it. You asked a question, and I've always been honest with you because you've always been good to me. You've never written or reported anything that I haven't said or twisted it. It's always been exactly how I've said it. So I've always been honest with you. Uh, I just think sometimes other people take it and they make it a bigger deal than what it was. I felt like we just had an honest conversation, and sometimes people don't like that, and sometimes it does get used against us.
I guess this is what happens sometimes in media, right? Because you give an honest answer, it turns into something, and then you say to yourself, maybe, well, maybe it just wasn't worth it. Maybe I should have just lied and not be honest, right? I feel like athletes go through that a lot. Is that what happened to you as well?
Yeah, yeah, and that's just not me. So then it turns into, well, Anthony Smith won't give me an interview. Well, every time I do, it gets thrown in my face for 2 months because I'm just trying to give you an honest answer. So I mean, it's one thing to report what was said, but then to go into it in length and make a bunch of assumptions and try to rub this magic lamp and think that you have the answer. Like I'm just take it for what it is and what I say it is, and leave it at that.
Do you regret being that honest?
No, no, I don't care. It was more frustrating the bullshit that I heard come from it. If it was just my face and your and I's conversation being replayed over and over and over, I would have no issue with it because I said what I said and it was in the context it was in. But it's the speculating and all the other stuff that comes along with it, which is, I guess it's first world problems. I'm complaining about something that most people would die for, but it's my world.
So here we are around 2 or so months later, around 2.5 months since we last spoke. How are you feeling? What's your mindset like going into this fight on Saturday?
I'm good. I feel really good. And that's honest. I'm not just telling you that. If I wasn't feeling good, I'd tell you. Uh, I'm in a good place. I think that by taking the fight and having to have a new focus and having to have a reason to work through it, I was able to get past that rough patch. And like I said, what happened, 2 or 3 weeks later, I was ready to get back into camp and get this shitty feeling out of my stomach.
So is that how long it took for you to kind of get over the disappointment of that fight? 2 or 3 weeks?
No, I'm still disappointed. It still sucks, and I still, you know, lose sleep over it. But it's not consuming my every thought of every day because I have a new focus, and it's not Alexander Gustafsson. That hasn't been my focus. It's been focusing on myself and what I need to do to put in the performance that I know I'm capable of, and that I should have done against John, and I plan on doing that versus Gus.
When you say that you lose sleep over it still, like what exactly are you losing sleep over?
The wasted moment, the to like the walking out of there feeling like I still had more to give. I said it 30 minutes ago actually that the Thiago Santos fight, I left Brazil with my head held high. There were some circumstances, obviously the weight cut and all the other stuff that I was dealing with going into that fight. I didn't have a lot to give, but I gave it all. Like I left everything I had in that fight, and when I came home, I was obviously super disappointed, and I was broke down, but I wasn't I wasn't embarrassed, and I don't know, I don't know. I think embarrassed is a good word. I'm really embarrassed with the Jon performance.
Are you not giving Jon, like, are you forgetting who Jon is? It's like you went the distance with Jon Jones, and I don't think he
Uh-oh.
embarrassed you per se. Maybe you're getting another call here. Yeah, like, do
Yeah,
you
we
not
did.
hold him to that standard? Because, like, not a lot of people go the distance with Jon Jones. Not a lot of people go 25 minutes. So is it just more that you just cared about yourself and you don't care who the opponent is? You just don't feel like you fought to your capabilities?
That's exactly it. I didn't fight anywhere close to what I'm capable of, and that's why it's so frustrating. I am so much better than that, and I was so much better than that for the entire training camp. And it's not that Jon did anything that I wasn't expecting. There wasn't one thing he did that I was like, oh, whoa, I wasn't ready for that. I mean, he did everything I expected him to do, and he didn't do anything I wasn't ready for. That's what's frustrating, and I'm better than that. I'm way better than that, and that's what drives me crazy. That I didn't even give myself a shot at it, and that's what keeps me up. I feel like I'm walking around naked all the time right now. It's the only way I can explain it. Like I'm just embarrassed. Like I feel like people look at me and they do that double take. And I'm like, oh, that guy knows that I lost. It consumes me.
Have you allowed yourself to watch the fight yet?
Oh yeah, several times.
Really? Why do you do that to yourself?
Yeah, because I deserve it.
What do you mean by that? You deserve the pain of watching it, the embarrassment?
Yeah, because I don't want to feel that again.
Okay.
So I got to remember what that feels like, and I got to. It's the same reason that tweet is up still from Brazil. Like I go back to I see that and I think of that shitty feeling that I don't want anymore. And you know I think the whole focus has changed for this fight, and I think that that's going to really make a difference. Uh, but I need to remember kind of where I was at not that long ago that got me here.
How has the focus changed?
Because it's not really about Gus. It's not even really about winning or losing. It's not about getting back to the title. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I don't want to win. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I haven't even considered the fight in a win versus loss situation because honestly, I don't give a shit what happens. I just want to perform. I want to go in there and I need to destroy something to get this feeling out of my stomach, this burning, sick feeling that I can't shake. The only way I'm going to do that is I got to let it out on somebody, and I wasn't able to let that out on Jon. I didn't, so I still have it, and it wouldn't have mattered if it was Gus or any of the other 10 guys or 15 guys in the rankings. I don't give a shit who it was. If I was on the regional scene, I'd have fought 2 weeks later. Uh, this is just this is just where we're at now. If you go back and look at my record, anytime that I've lost, I've almost fought immediately afterwards because I can't sit around with this feeling. It's just how I am.
So this is according to the websites. Usually there are maybe one or two off, but according to the websites, this will be your 46th pro fight. Is that an accurate number?
Sounds right.
Okay. Double-digit losses. You've been there before. 31 wins. I mean, you have fought them all. You've been everywhere. When you talk about this focus, when you talk about this feeling, is this new to you? Have you never felt this before in all your years?
Not to this length, not to this magnitude. It hasn't ever been this bad. Uh, but I think that it's just because of what was at stake and what I lost. It wasn't just losing a fight and then we go on to the next one. Like this is the moment that I've been trying to get to since I was 17 years old, and I blew it. I don't even I mean I lost the fight, but I don't feel like it wasn't taken from me. I let it go, and that's why it hurts so bad. I didn't feel like he beat me. Uh, I just I let him beat me, and that's what's frustrating.
Do you think about the knee at all?
No, not really.
No regrets there.
No, no,
No.
I'm good with it.
Okay. You knew I was going to ask you about that one because I still feel like
Yeah.
you should have done it, but I respect you for not and for, there's not once where the moment, like where you
you
think about it and
you
you're
got to
like,
stop saying that
why? Why?
because the interwebs just roast you for it
I
every
don't
time you
care.
say
I don't care what they think. It's the truth. And guess what? They all would have done the same, and they're all liars for
Oh,
saying otherwise, all right? That was an illegal
for
knee.
sure.
You didn't do it. He did it. And guess what? In our sport, you're rewarded for illegal shots, and it's wrong. The warning in the back should. I went through this whole spiel last time, but it's wrong. And here's the problem. The problem is that it's a problem that we even have this discussion, right? Like that it's taboo. In what other sport is an infraction taboo, right? On you, not on him. It's crazy. Oh, you should have honor. What do you mean honor? He's the one that did it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, you're a better man than I guess, and I don't care what the trolls on the internet say. They could come get some. But all right, I appreciate the fact that you feel that way and that you're going to stick to your guns on that. Now, you start to transition and focus on Alex. You're fighting in enemy territory. In a weird way, I kind of feel like this is like a nice, like you're just completely away from the American scene. Probably not a lot of friends and family coming to this one. Is this perfect for you in a sense?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's just no pressure. We're kind of kicking it back to the old school. You just come in, take his soul, grab a bag of cash, and leave. Uh, and I perform better on the road. I always have. I don't mind fighting out of the country. I don't mind fighting far away from home because it's just solely about fighting. Like the media doesn't give a shit about me here. This is the Gus show. This is the Gus show, and I'm okay with that. He's the one with the family and the friends and all his teammates and the whole damn city and country behind him. He's the one that's got something to prove. The only thing I have to prove is to myself, and I don't. This isn't about the money. This isn't about the rankings. This isn't about the win. This isn't about the loss. This is about making myself feel better uh, with what I'm going to do to him in there. If I go in there and I beat him for 25 minutes and beat the dog shit out of him, something crazy happens, it's so be it. As long as I get that feeling out of my stomach, I'm good with it.
I'm happy that you broke it down like that because actually someone asked me recently, what's at stake in this fight? And to be honest, I'm not really sure what is at stake in this fight. It's rare that the two guys who just fought for the belt are now fighting each other. And, light heavyweight, there's a bunch of young guys coming up here. So I think it would be disingenuous to say a fight against Jon Jones is next for the winner. I don't think that that's on the table. But like the way you just broke it down to me is actually more intriguing than a title shot. Like you are doing this for yourself. You have your own reasons, and that's something that I think fans can get behind if it's broken. It's not your perfect little 60-second clip that the UFC is going to air and get people amped for the show on ESPN Plus. But that to me is real life. Like that's exactly why fighters fight. And so I think you just broke it down perfectly there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, and if there is, fuck them.
Yeah.
Like this is about me. This is 100% about me. Like I've been trying to. I don't like the John fight was about the title, and making Michaela and my kids proud, and making all the sacrifices they have made all these years worth it. And it was about being the first UFC champion at Factory X, and the small town Nebraska kid, showing everybody that it doesn't matter where you're from. It's about what you're made of. And like this one is just, obviously everything I do is for my family, but like this one's just for me. And like I just need to go in there and I just need to perform and I need to give the best performance that I can possibly give. And I truly believe that if I just focused on going in there and doing everything I can possibly do in every situation that arises to th- th- that I can't lose. Like I don't think he can beat me. If I just go in there and I give the best performance and I just fight my ass off, Alexander Gustafsson can't beat me. He can't. And I don't care how many people think that that's bullshit and that I shouldn't be fighting because it's too soon and I'm not in the right mindset. I don't need to be in the right mindset. I need to be focused on myself. And that's what I'm doing. I just want to go in and I just want to fight. I want to punch him when I can punch him. I want to kick him when I can kick him. I want to drag him to the ground and punch and elbow everything that he gives me. And if he gets back up, I'll do it again. That's as deep as my game plan goes. That's honest. Like that's as deep as it gets for me.
When did you get to Sweden?
This morning.
Okay, so you don't really have a sense for, the buzz in the area, or people saying things to you on the street? I mean, you've been there just a few hours, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I went with one of my coaches and Michaela to go check out like the little city center area, and it's much different than the typical, going in someone's backyard. Like Swedish fans are pretty polite. Like
Yeah.
they'll fist bump you and ask you politely not to win. Like they've been they've been pretty cool so far. So there's been no screaming or hollering or anything. Like you know, lots of nice people. Lots
Okay.
of nice people.
I'm not surprised, and I'm glad to hear that. By the way, when one thing that struck a chord with me is when you talked about being away from your kids, when you initially had to, start the training camp in Denver. What was that like? What did that do to you?
The first couple of weeks were tough. Just kind of feeling really selfish, to be honest. For the first couple of weeks, I was thinking, like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this to them again? And my answer every single time was, you're doing it for yourself. And then I immediately feel guilty, like I'm making them sacrifice again because I feel like shit about myself. So I need to go and beat someone up to make myself feel better. Like when you break it down like that, you feel like shit about it. But they were super supportive and as they always are. They're it's almost like I don't deserve it. Like I hope that I'm doing the best I can to provide for my family and hopefully I'm making them really proud. But it was tough. It was a tough first couple weeks, and then I started to get out of it, and then we were able to schedule a week home, and I flew in three training partners, and so I was able to do one of the weeks at home.
Oh
So
wow.
that was a nice breakup in the training camp to be able to sleep in my own bed and eat at home and get my kids off to school and it was a nice breakup, and I didn't miss anything. I was able to bring those guys in and it was a great week of training.
Is that something that you typically do in the middle of training camp, or was that unique to this particular training camp?
I haven't in a long time. I
Okay.
haven't in a long time. So it was it was really refreshing. I felt like the timing was perfect too. I was almost getting to that point where I'm getting really frustrated and sick of the flying back and forth. And then I was able to come home and the training was phenomenal. It was a really hard grind. It was nice to have like those guys, a couple blocks away where I put them up, and then we just all go to practice and grind. It's the same grind. It was the same feeling as Denver. I just got to go home afterwards.
Would it be fair to say, regardless of what happens on Saturday, that you're probably going to take the rest of the year off?
Yeah, yeah. I always talk about taking the
Yeah.
break, uh, but I'd never made the promise, and before I was leaving to start this training camp, it was the night before I was going to leave, and I was putting my kids to bed, and they were you could tell they were just disappointed that I was leaving again, and I promised them. I never promised them that this was the last time for a while. I never actually said I promise. There's a lot of times where I've said, oh, this will probably be it for a little while, but I promised them, and they made sure that I said those words. So I promised that I was going to take the entire summer and the entire nice weather months off. So there's nothing you're going to be able to do to get me to break that promise.
And by the way, just curious, since I think you might be the only one, maybe there's one other person out there, but off the top of my head, you might be the only one to have fought Jon Jones and Thiago Santos. Do you think Santos has a shot in July against them?
I do,
Really?
I do. He's fast. He's explosive. Well, I think you put Thiago Santos in there with an elephant, he's got a shot to put it down.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude is just crazy explosive and he's fast. There's no wind up there. I just think that John is really good in the grappling and the wrestling exchanges, and I think that clearly that's one of Thiago's holes. And I just don't think that there's enough time for him to close that gap. And John is too smart to not take advantage of that. So I think that it's a tall task for Thiago, but he definitely has a chance. That's for sure.
I got to say, man, you have become one of my favorite people to talk to in this sport just because of your honesty. Today is no different. And I sincerely hope that people appreciate just how honest you are with all of us, because you don't have to be. I wish you the best. I really do. I hope it all works out on Saturday. And I love the way you broke it down, how this fight is for you and how the W or the L, it doesn't really matter. It's just about getting rid of that feeling from the last one. It's just beautiful stuff, and the sport is better because of people like you. And I think I've said that to you before. I really appreciate you doing this, Anthony. All the best to you this weekend. Enjoy the week in Sweden, and hopefully we get to talk to you afterwards before you go on a bit of a break for the rest of the year.
For sure, man. I really appreciate it. Make sure you catch me on Monday, because if you don't catch me Monday, I'll be gone.
All right, it's a deal. Thank you, Anthony. Good luck on Saturday.